everyone, a brand new edition of Kick-On's, the perfect destination after the footy with the great and the good. Kane Corns, Josh Jenkins, so much to talk about. Skipper, you've been off and away. Well done, mate.
It is a big week. I'll retain the footy trip responsibility after my man Zach Butters got it done for us.
Well done, Zach.
And our footy trip is looking a lot better than it was 2 weeks ago.
Allow me, please, to blow a little bit of wind up your skirt too, please.
Go for it,
JJ,
by all means.
Because, by gee, your little sting in the tail was fantastic last week. Well done.
Yeah, we thought a few of the roughies would get up
actually, 3 out of 4.
Pretty good.
If Port could actually kick the ball toward the teeth of goal when you're trying to win a game, except for the pocket, we might have got all 4. But we thought some roughies to get the job done, or some underdogs. I think the same thing might happen again this week. I don't mind Carlton. I don't mind Adelaide at the MCG against Collingwood as an underdog. And even Richmond against the Kangas at the MCG. So maybe a few more roughies. But if I could just pinch 10 seconds, I think it's camera 2. It needs to go straight down the barrel. Can we get it on our man, Kano? And can you just turn your head to the side? Because you are running. That looks a mullet to me, Jason.
Made my earpiece pop out.
I have never, ever had
He's
more
running a
hair
mullet.
envy
Do you like
than what
that?
I have right now.
So I'm trying to be cool, but I'm
know
not
what?
sure if I've pulled it off.
For someone like me, you're showing off. That's what you are. And if you keep playing around with it, trust me, you'll lose it.
I had
so
a
don't
phone
abuse
call from some people that I trust during the week, and they said to me, look, you're just looking a bit ragged. You probably should have a shave.
So I thought a mullet was the answer.
You probably should go and get a haircut. So I walked straight into the
Very
barber.
good.
He did a pretty good job, I thought.
You're absolutely nailed it. Follow us on the feed because we're absolutely flying. Hey, can we have a quick look at a sick beat before we get stuck into a whole lot of topics? So if you took the 176.5 points, check out this. We're at 173 points. There's 13 seconds to go. Sam Berry takes 1 bounce, takes 2.
Sam.
Please, are you
Put
going
it
to centre
through,
it? What are you
Sam.
going to do? Have a shot, kick a goal! And then the siren goes.
Well, I know.
But if you took unders, it was good.
And then he's celebrating.
Well,
Come
They
on,
did
Sam.
win.
You were the sub. You've had a couple of
Fairness.
touches. I'm not sure you was doing the big
fairness
pipings,
to
the double
to the
pipings.
kiddies, I mean, they won the game. We'll get to that a bit later.
All right, let's get stuck into some topics and let's start with Friday night. Carlton versus Sydney should be an absolute beauty. And so what is it head-to-head here? So it's 10th versus 14th. Though.
Yeah, 2 underperformers thus far, particularly Sydney. Now, I mean, we've done Sydney to death, but look, we're at the tipping point. You start to get to a point in the season where you can't afford to lose these type of games.
Yeah, I think for the Blues, they need their best players to put more than one good game in a row together. So Big Harry was amazing, but he's done it good, hasn't been seen good. It's about time they string some consistent performances. I thought Sam Walsh was terrific. His best game in terms of damage per disposals, but they're going to have to get on a run. Good odds 260.
They're one game
I know,
out.
but I feel like the top 8 is set. If you want to put Carlton into your 8, Richo, you got to go, well, who's out? Are you prepared to leave the Giants out?
No.
Are Gold Coast going to slip out? I don't think so. Are Collingwood going to?
No.
The Western Bulldogs maybe, but
Maybe.
I think the top 8 is reasonably set, so they're going to have to get on a pretty good run. And Sydney, whilst their draw in the next month is pretty favourable, they may win 3 out of their next 4, the Swans. They're not making it. They're coming from too far back.
Reality check for them too. You know, Francis and Joel Hamling did an all right job the week previous as key forwards, playing as defenders really. But on the weekend, Zach Reid ate them for breakfast.
Yeah.
So, look, they're going to have to find a way. Amadi and McDonald aren't back anytime soon. Going to have to find a way to kick goals. Isaac Heaney might be the answer.
We're going to ask you head-to-head throughout when we get to our 30 seconds. Can I declare my love? I've got an absolute man crush on Ollie Dempsey. I reckon he is a young gun that I want to buy stocks in.
Absolutely, he is. The way he's redefining the wing role.
Can I ask you what he's doing? Because we're all trying to work out how he is playing this wing role. I haven't solved the puzzle yet. But how's he doing this, and how's he ending up in the goal square taking contested marks all the time, JJ?
So he's a forward. So he arrived at the Cats as a small half forward. So he's got that craft. Now, the Giants identified him and put Harrison Himmelberg on him. And look, he just was no answer for him. No answer for him in those contested situations. Dempsey any inkling, any opportunity to get forward, he'll take it. And he's got the backing of Chris Scott clearly, and the system supports him. But the way he's playing, because he's playing 100% wing, and he's just getting forward, had the most touches in the forward half for a winger in the competition. And that is maybe the most remarkable stat in the competition. He's taken the third most contested marks inside 50
he's officially a
of
winner.
anyone.
So I've been on the All-Australian committee, I think, for 3 or 4 years now.
He's in, mate.
The biggest debate that we ever have, or criticism about it, is why don't you play wingers? Why don't you play
Why don't
genuine?
you?
Because you have to have an All-Australian season to get in the All-Australian
But you're
team,
measuring
regardless
them.
of where you play. I'm not commenting on whether he's going to be there, but he's the number one winger in the game.
You'll treat him as a winger.
Well, yeah, I would, and we can have a look at some of the other ratings for the wings as well. But you need to have an All-Australian year to be granted All-Australian selection, and quite often the best wingers haven't had All-Australian years, and you're just prepared to go with the other midfielders that have dominated. So there it is. Jack Crisp is genuine winger, I think, played inside with the injuries for Collingwood on the weekend, or the restings. Like, is Dersma going to be it? Is Langford in his first year? Like O'Driscoll? So this is the sort of debate that you have. But Ollie Dempsey is putting his name up in lights for the impact that he is having, and he'll certainly be discussed at length for that position.
So does he represent value, actually trying to find the goal markets for him? So $2 plus, sorry, 2 goals plus at $2.85.
Yeah, good price. Good price. Maybe, Adelaide Oval for him this week, a little bit thinner ground, but he plays GMHBA Stadium incredibly well. He gets forward so well. So, like on the wing against Port, whether they do a job on him or try and go after him, I'm not sure. He does represent value. Anytime, like close to $3, he's a proven goal scorer.
Now, Jezza, unfortunately in our multi, I went with 3 goals plus for Jezza.
Well, you're looking good at half time.
Correct.
Yeah, 2 at half time, Richo.
He kicked 2 and then he started going to the centre bounce. Will we see him more midfield? What's the play with Jezza?
Once again, it's one that they keep the opposition guessing with, and I just sort of think he runs his own race, doesn't he, Jezza? Like
I think so, yeah.
He drifts up. They're not as reliant as they were because they now got a bit more out of Stengel. Shannon Neal looked a little bit better, and Dempsey as well. Dangerfield more forward, so it does allow him to do this, JJ.
Yeah, I still, in my heart of hearts, I always try and put myself in the shoes of the opposition coach. And I think I'd prefer to see him on the wing in the midfield than forward. If I'm the opposition coach, what scares me about Jeremy Cameron is when he's lining up isolated inside forward 50. And this is why I've been making the call on Dangerfield. Cameron is rarely isolated inside 50. Now, Cameron's not a kick it on my head and I'll do the rest. He's a kick it out in space, on the grass, let him go and do his thing against, less mobile defenders. We just haven't seen a lot of that.
Port Adelaide probably played their grand final, Richo. So this week against Geelong, I just don't see them getting themselves up. They need an emotional game to get themselves up. There's the head-to-head. You think Geelong going to be far too strong, and Port Adelaide may have played their final against the Crows, which they weren't able to get it done. If I could get angry for a minute.
Oh boy.
If I could.
I liked Cuddly Corn that we had on Sunday night.
Well, not now.
Okay,
so this could have been my on notice, and it could have been directed to the Port Adelaide coaches for the use of Jason Horne-Francis.
What's Horne-Francis done wrong?
My man started in the goal square and then came off the ground. The ball's up Adelaide's end for the whole of the first half of the first quarter. He's in the goal square at the other end. Then he comes off for a break. The first time he went into the centre bounce, there was 9 minutes to go in the first quarter. I'm going, this is the biggest waste of a gun player that I've ever seen. So there's the breakdown. So 59% in the midfield, 41% forward, just 77% time on ground, 23%. Why is he on the bench when he'd been stuck at full forward for half of the first quarter? He comes off and then he has 1 touch in the first quarter and Adelaide kicked the first 2 goals. I'm going, this is an absolute waste. Start him in the middle, get him involved in the game, and then later on send him forward when he's feeling a bit better about himself and keep him on the ground for longer.
Well, I want you to do some research. I want his data from last week. Can you
want to bring the GPS in?
Can you bring it in? Can you get access to it?
I know a couple of people down there.
Can you give the chat a call? And we want his data.
I'm telling you, he woke up and he wasn't sore the
What
next
do you
day.
want from him? Describe the. I do agree. If he's going to play, he's playing 3/4 of the game, right? So he's on the bench for a whole quarter. He can't then spend time forward as well. So what does it look like?
That's the main point. I just love it. And they played Bergman on ball, which I think squeezed him out. But I'd love for him to be in the action early, get him feeling. When you're a player, you want an early touch. You just want that early touch. He wasn't able to get that. 1 touch in the first quarter. So I think you start him in the middle, then you put him forward. And if he's forward, then you adjust his time and rotations. He doesn't need to come off.
if Rosie's not in there, he needs to be in there. So you can't take Rosie and Horne-Francis out of the midfield.
strange.
It weakens it too much.
Let's get out of your area because this is when the big man does his stuff, and that is big forwards. JJ.
Yes.
You must be loving Jesse Hogan.
Well, he's clearly been watching the show because I haven't had him. I haven't had him in the key forwards power rankings.
Where is he now?
As yet, I'm going to do a rank next week. But I actually thought he should have. I thought his first half. I called this game on radio. And he was a little bit choppy in the first half. He actually dropped a couple of marks, and I thought, gee, the best version of Jesse Hogan just gobbles those up. Second half, my goodness gracious. He set up a couple of goals as well. He blocked for Cadman
22 touches
on one occasion. Amazing performance. The best game I've seen from a forward this year. He was a difference in the game. He is an absolute superstar. I watched him super closely when the ball was elsewhere. He just does not stop moving. He's always moving his feet. He never lets his defender touch him. And the more he dominated Sam De Koning, the more Sam De Koning was defeated and went into his shell. It was a really strong performance.
Do you take 375?
Well, yeah, we'll
win the Coleman?
we'll probably miss the boat. We probably need him to have a quiet one or two before we can get back on.
Oh, drift back
Hey,
out.
Richo, I'll tell you who won't be in his power rankings. Who will not be in those power rankings next week is Aaron Norton. He just will not be there. What is going on?
Should they play him at centre-half back?
Well, I don't know.
No,
They cannot win that. They cannot win the premiership with Aaron Norton as your key forward. I couldn't believe how he let them down in this game. Like, how can you miss this? Richo, you would kick that.
Well, he's a left footer.
You would kick that on your left, Richo.
Well,
and then it was just all at sea kind of
appreciate the
stuff.
support, but I'm not so sure about that.
Like, look at that. They didn't even score, didn't even look like scoring. So, unfortunately, he's just not what they thought they were getting. And as the highest paid forward in the game, or close to it, you need to be better. But, JJ, let's move on from Aaron, because we've had our say on him a lot.
Well,
what are they doing?
Let's not go with we.
Because of his struggles, what do they do with the Bont?
Bond's got to play forward. So, again, called this game, did 2 games. I was that tired after working twice.
Listen to you with your little sort of head wobble I do.
So, made the trip to Darwin and back. Caught the red eye. So, they've been a prolific scoring team, the Dogs. So, you might say to me, well, we're the number 2 scoring team in the competition. But when you watch them and when Aaron Norton is held, now, Norton's not a high goal-scoring player anyway. But when he's held to 0 or 1 goals, like Matt Kennedy kicked 3 goals, how often is that going to happen? So Marcus Bontempelli is the one. I think now, because they've got Fraser and Ed Richards and Liberatore and Harms and Sanders, that's a good enough midfield to get supply. Kick it to Bontempelli because he's the one inside 50 who can make some things happen. Now, he might only kick 2, but he'll set up another 2 or 3 as well.
Now, Jason Horne-Francis is a very, very uncomfortable because you've got a new love.
I do. I actually do.
And I'm with you.
I actually do. Nate Caddy, we're talking about from the Bombers, Richo. As you know, I just love the way he's tracking. He won't quite feature in his power rankings yet, but look out in 2 years' time because I'm just comparing him to the athletic types, and he's moving, so it's very, very tracking nicely. Look at that. I mean, Curnow with more assists, but the score involvements, the contested marks, everything stacks up. But it's more about the way that he's covering the ground and the athleticism that we're seeing. Like, he's like a gazelle. You're the running expert. You'd love his running style. 2 or more goals, 194 and 3 plus 410, which he kicked last week. So I think he's just building really nicely. He's only 19 years of age, which is frightening.
Yeah, he's exciting.
They'd love to get him like Peter Wright's a really good foil for him. They'd love to get a real.
You got to call him.
They'd love to get a real big dog.
Yeah, a Ben King type would be nice to go alongside of him.
Might be available at some point.
Hey, shot clock, let's get it up and running now. This is going to be very simple. Now, Skipper, you don't tend to understand these rules.
I talk too long.
They're very simple. Yeah. Pies or crows? Make a case.
Crows. Because Collingwood's injuries are mounting up and Adelaide have a lot of depth. And I just think this is going to be an upset.
Yeah, agree. This is Adelaide's opportunity. They've played Collingwood really close at the MCG a couple of times, and in Adelaide, the Jordan Dawson scenario where he should have got a free kick to have a shot to win the game after the siren. This is the Crows' big opportunity to say, we are here and we need to be acknowledged for season 25.
Port or Cats?
Cats, not with a lot of confidence. The Cats are a lot skinnier than I think most people understand. They had 3 players running around the VFL who are on their AFL list. They've got injuries all over the place. I think the Cats will get it done because Port are on the brink of being gone.
Correct, yeah. Geelong win. I think Chris Scott and Ken Hinkley's head-to-head record is very much in favour of Chris Scott, and I just think he'll have too many weapons and too much strategy for the Port Adelaide coach's box.
Giants or Freo?
The Giants, because they're playing at home finally after being on the road.
It feels like an away game for them.
They've played at 8 different venues in 9 weeks. What a disgrace that is from the AFL to schedule it like that. So they're at home. They got their normal coloured shorts on. They've slept in their own beds, and they will win and win comfortably. Freo and all sorts.
Still a bit of a trip from Bondi to Western Sydney, which is where most of them reside. But they'll get the job done. I was getting calluses holding onto the rope for the Giants. I refused to let go because the talent is so obvious.
What a win.
And what they did against Geelong was so good. They've got to back it up, but I think they will.
That new tunnel's amazing, mate. You will zip out to Greater Western Sydney. Dogs, Bombers.
Dogs, looking forward to this game. This is a really sneaky good game under the lid. The Dogs have got a rebound coming back from Darwin. Who knows what that looks like? And the Bombers are airborne, but I'll go with the Dogs, particularly around the ball.
Better the round for me is the Bombers at the line. So I think the Dogs
what about
will win.
head-to-head?
Nah, the Dogs will win, but I think the Bombers will keep this close. They play Marvel Stadium very well. In fact, both of these two sides do, but the Bombers are a different team at Marvel, and I think they'll keep it close.
So Separation Saturday, you agreed on all 4 of them. The best judges in the business. You can lock them in. Stoppage game coming up next on Kick On. You're watching Kick-Ons. We're about to get in the lab. I've got the pen poised because I believe I'm about to learn something about the centre bounce.
Well, maybe not. Centre bounce is so key now.
Don't over-promote it.
I was in there as a backup ruckman, so I can't offer too much. But it is becoming glaringly obvious. Now, the numbers might not always tell the true story, Kane, but just the ability, the pressure you can put on your opposition with clean exits from centre bounce is enormous at the moment.
No doubt. Particularly if you can get out the front and kick it to even numbers inside forward 50, then it is one of the best ways to score. So we're seeing this here. These are some of the examples of it. Like, give Jordan Dawson out the front of stoppage time and space, then that is going to lead to a score, if not a goal. Now, the best centre bounce players in the game, Caleb Sarong is number 1. That man, Matt Rowell, is number 2. And Libba, who wins the clearances, in the top 3 as well. And I think we now start to realise the importance of those players.
The key, though, with that Liberatore exit, the key, as you mentioned, is getting out the front. We did some numbers when I was still playing about centre bounce exits. If you can't get it deep, you actually need to go off the line because the turnovers are sky high. So Jeremy Cameron there gets plenty of leverage and gets it deep. But when you can get it inside 30, your chances of scoring and putting pressure on the opposition are sky high. So it's such a key part of the game at the moment.
And the Saints are doing something that you like.
Yeah, I want to give some love. So last year, watching Ross Lyon's teams, they always want to set up one behind the ball. That's just a default position for Ross Lyon. They were using Cal Wilkie 100 metres from the ball. And I'm thinking, well, how the heck are you going to generate scores using your +1 so far away? But we've got a still shot here of them making an adjustment. So this is Brad Hill coming up and getting involved. Now, some teams call this the flash, some teams call it the jackal, the pocket, whatever you want to call it, to get involved. Some teams call it the
weapon.
Formula One. Sydney used to call it the Formula One, I believe. It's just getting someone up who's got some wheels, who can come through a stoppage and get involved. The only thing I'd say is I'd rather that be Wanganeen Miller or Sinclair, because those guys can have so much more impact. And you need to start boundary side and come through the other way.
Brad Hill wasn't at his best. His ball used to let them down. He's not
but
the player
credit to
that
the
he once
Saints
was.
for changing it up.
Changing it.
That's an aggressive tactic.
Danger game.
Yeah, it is.
Couldn't agree with you more.
Because they just don't score enough. So the Eagles at home in front of 50,000, if they get the momentum and Waterman starts to get going and Harley Reid is looking better than he was, he's looking a lot more dangerous, then because the Saints can't score, the Eagles can keep this close, and then late in the third term, early in the last, it starts to get big on you away from home. So just watch that. The line there is fascinating for me.
Nice head start for West Coast. Yeah.
It is.
And what are the Saints? They've lost 4 out of their last 5. Mate, they are a huge chance for West Coast. They've been playing okay.
Yeah.
So at home,
Richo's Roughies, will we see that on your feed?
Just you wait and see. Just you wait.
It better not. It's not $10.
$10.
Well, okay, this is the footy version of it, but more on that a little later on. Favourite players to punt on. Here's one. Who gets the green tick? Who wants to go first?
For me, it's the big fella, Tristan Xerri. Now, recency bias, because he might have done the job for me against the Brisbane Lions. But whenever I see Tristan Xerri come up against a more lumbering ruckman, so Todd Goldstein a couple of weeks ago, green lights, 5 green lights, Formula One style. So whenever Xerri's up against a less agile ruckman where he can grab it out of the ruck or follow up,
So what about Nan Curvis this week? He's up against Nan Curvis. Are you taking him for 20 plus?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
right.
Yeah, I think he's a bit physical for Nan Curvis.
I want
at
to talk
that
about the
stage.
most underrated player in football, but not in my eyes, because Jordan Clark is just a weapon across half back. He is so good, and he's good at everything really, defensively really sound, but getting a stack of it, so 25 plus 260. Gee, I love backing this man.
I love Nick Dacos. I love to punt on Nick
Oh,
Dacos.
geez, you've really gone to the well there.
You and the
haven't
rest
you?
of us sports
The question
customers.
was, who do you like to punt on? But not necessarily just for the disposals. I think there's overs for him kicking goals.
Oh, anytime goal.
Anytime goal scorer, I like using him in a multi. I reckon Nick Dacos is a beauty, which was the question that I was asked. Now, you're putting someone on notice. You've got to look at the moment
I
that
do.
you don't you dare take down one of our favourites. Who have you got?
I'm taking down Tom Lynch. Like,
He's one of my favourites.
pull your
Like a
head,
Tommy?
pull your head in, Tom.
What do you mean pull your head in?
Pull your head in.
What's he done
The
wrong?
amount of effort and energy he is spending into this sort of off-the-ball stuff versus his performance at the moment is
Cameras on Harley Reid.
almost comical. Like, just look at him. He's just a little. He's
not even in the shot. What are you talking about?
Look at him. There he is. There he is.
That's
He's just
not
a
a lot of
little
effort.
needler. He's a niggler. The amount of stuff he's doing off the ball, he's giving away free kicks, he's giving away 50s. How about you mark the football and when you're 30 metres out in front of goal, kick it straight. Now, they're playing North Melbourne. He's going to be on someone of the ilk of
Toby
Pink. Like, if
Yeah,
you are
that
not
Pink
kicking
Pinkster.
4+ goals against Toby Pink at $6, something is going wrong for Tom Lynch, who's been a very good player, champion.
What about him flying the flag as an older 30-year-old for
rubbish.
the young Tiger Cubs?
Didn't look like he expended a lot of energy doing that.
You got to go and watch him live. Far too much time spent on the stuff that he shouldn't be getting involved in versus his performance, which has been. I was going to say woeful. That would be too strong.
That's too strong.
Too strong.
Rat
So I'll
tail,
just
leave
pull
it
back.
alone.
But it's been ordinary.
All right,
Okay,
back
here
in
we
your
go.
box, 'cause you're
This is our
reading up.
favourite segment.
Kane. Now, last week, of course, a showdown. We love a showdown. It was 28-28.
Yep.
And afterward, Kane's got a couple of different shows where he gets paid a fair bit for saying the same thing. He was talking about the Adelaide players
My goodness.
staging.
Never seen anything like it.
How salty could you possibly
Never
get?
seen anything
How
like it.
salty could you possibly get? 29-28. The Crows are in front
look
in the
at this.
showdown.
You
I've got the
salty
long
ass.
sleever on too.
It should be 29-28 Port's way if the goal umpire didn't get it wrong when he kicked the
29-28.
goal. It should have been a point.
And no surprise that that's
Still
not
fit
dirty.
into it too. I watched it.
Disgraceful.
You were salty, admit it.
I was salty.
Salty.
Just a little
There you
bit.
go. Quick break. You're watching Kick-Ons. Papers have arrived.
Yeah, Clarko and the Kangas beware the Tiger Cubs, particularly at the MCG.
It's much easier to play at home. Giant flex. How easy is playing at home for them? Richo.
Steve Williams, the great caddy, move aside. Nate is the best caddy. I am
done.
chips in with your man.
Well done.
I am loving what you're doing now. Our footy trip fund, we are starting to build impressively.
Yeah, Zach
You're in
Butters
control.
30 plus last week, so I take control again. Zach Merritt this time for 30 plus. I'm sticking with the same model, 218, and Zach's due for a big one.
Okay, what about our big multi there? Who's off first here?
Yeah, I was the only one to get it right last week, which is Adelaide at the line. I think they can win head-to-head, but I'll take the points for the Crowies.
Essendon at the line for me, Richo.
West Coast at the line to cause an upset.
I like it.
That is Kick-Ons. I hope you enjoyed it. See you next week.
Imagine what you could be buying instead. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.